Welcome to my Code One Maintenance podcast. I know you were a veteran in the Air Force and got out and you got into the aviation industry. And one of the big reasons I'm bringing you on is because when I served 14 years in the military, I had no clue about working on Boeing. I had my mindset maybe working towards the Lockheed, and uh, just had no clue. And there was DFW right there next to me, so I didn't know that was an opportunity. So you're out in the aviation civilian side and just going over the best advice you can give these guys and transitioning out if they want to pursue their career in aviation. And from what I've heard, aviation career outside of the military is way better and a lot more. It's fun in a different way, fulfilling in a different way, and that it's very rewarding in a different way as well. So you're big into the industry. And when I was coming in the Air Force, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. It would have been great people coming from the industry, coming to the bases or nowadays digital to come and discuss, hey, this is how it is on the outside. This is what you need to be successful. And we would love to hear your advice given back to these veterans or transitioning out of the military into civilian and maybe pondering about continuing their aviation career and what other doors can be open to that. So I want to give you a few minutes to first go over, your name, of course, what you do, and some kind of the extracurricular activities you're doing in the workforce part of in aviation. So I'll let you have the floor.
All right, Joe, thank you for inviting me onto your podcast. And start off, my name's Ken MacTiernan. I'm a line mechanic for American Airlines in San Diego. I will have 40 years with American this June. I started my career 2 months out of high school when I enlisted in the Air Force. Actually went into open aircraft maintenance, which could have been everything from Hobarts to air starts to working on fighters and cargo jet. I worked on B-52s for 4 years before I was honorably discharged. Went in when I was 17, a kid from New York, loud mouth. The transmission between my brain and mouth didn't always engage. So I did a lot of learning while I was enlisted. Did not have a clue about the commercial side. I just figured that when I was going to get out, I was going to go back to New York and Eastern Airlines, TWA, Pan Am, the big guys on the block at that time, back in 85. That's who I wanted to work for. And I just assumed that because I worked on bombers, they'd be stupid not to hire me. I was like, hey, I worked on airplanes. I just
Same.
happened to talk to two guys on the inspection team that I was part of and filled me in and said, do you have your A&P? And I went, my A and what? And they said, airframe and power plant. And they quickly told me how there was a local community college. I enrolled, got the courses I needed to get my airframe and power plant. The military paid 75% of my tuition at that time. Tested, got my certificates, and discharged. Went back to New York, and American Airlines hired me in 1986. And to all your listeners, I'd like to say that the military and the commercial are different and the same in the sense that we each have a different mission, but we're the same because we're responsible for the aircraft in our care. Whether it's one or two pilots in an A-10 or an F-16 or multiple passengers on a C-17 or 182 passengers on a Boeing Max, our responsibilities are the same. Uh, you might think a fighter or a cargo airplane or even a helicopter. Well, I work on military jets and helicopters. I can't work on commercial jets. Yes, you can. There's wiring, there's hydraulics, there's fuels, the same systems that are on the aircraft you're working on in the military easily translate to those in the commercial world.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks. And you've been with them ever since, huh?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. That's a long career, at one company, It's you hear people moving around. Well, in the airlines, actually in the airlines, people kind of stay. Once they're in, they stay in, they take care of them really well. And that's awesome. And so besides, the hangar, what else are you doing?
Well, in San Diego, we're what the airlines call a class two. In the
Hmm.
commercial world, and I'll use American as an example. Our main heavy bases that we have a couple hundred mechanics, like
Hmm.
LA, Dallas, Miami, Chicago, DWH, which is the hangar at DFW. Um,
Hmm.
that's a class one. That's where we do pretty much heavy maintenance. Not
Okay.
overhaul. Our overhaul is done like in Tulsa and Charlotte. And overhaul is
Mm.
exactly like it sounds. They get a jet, they take it apart, fix it, put it back together. That's class one's an overhaul. Class two, where I'm at, we have about 38 technicians. We don't have an avionics department. We do it
Okay.
all. The bigger stations, if you want
Okay.
to go into avionics, you can bid that and just chase wires and sparks all day long.
Hmm.
Where I'm at, I enjoy doing that because I feel more well-rounded. My airframe allows me to do sheet metal work, which I really don't care for.
No?
And in the
That's
Yeah, that's kind of like holy water to a vampire for me because
okay.
you learn it in school, but it's it can be a black art if you do it. I mean, people are doing rivet pitches in their head and calculating. So we have a dedicated structures department at the airlines. American has it, all the other commercial airlines have it too. So
Hmm.
if a ramper puts a belt loader into the belly of an airplane, they'll fly just the structures guys out.
Mm.
Whereas in the military, as you know, everything is avionics, hydraulics, power plant. In the commercial world, we do it all. So we're kind of like a
Right.
jack of all trades, master of none, unless you specifically go into avionics where you can just do it repetitively every day.
Mm. Okay. Okay. How do you find the time to do the like because you're also doing the competition, right?
Yes, I wear several different hats. I'm the vice president for the Aerospace Maintenance Council, which is a nonprofit that promotes our profession,
Hmm.
military maintainers, students, and professionals in the commercial world. We put on a competition twice a year. We just started a second venue, and basically it's to let the our profession come together and show what we do to the public. They're not aware. Especially now, public will see file footage of an A-10 doing what an A-10 does,
Hmm.
just strafing. You hear that sound?
Yeah,
Okay, well, there's a skilled team of men and women behind the scenes that are enabling that pilot to do what that airplane can do.
of
We
course.
also have the commercial side. We have all the airlines come. We have airlines from around the world that come. Why? Because we have the same knowledge, skill, and integrity. Different mission, different fleets, but
Hmm.
the only th the uniform is the only thing that is different. Our
Hmm.
knowledge and ability and passion remains the same. So I help do that. I'm also the founder of the Aircraft Maintenance Technicians Association, or the AMTA, and that's my nonprofit. And we donate bronze busts of Charles Taylor to different
Mm.
museums. And some of your listeners are probably thinking, like I did, who's Charles Taylor?
Yeah.
Well, the reason I created the AMTA was partly out of embarrassment because I didn't know who Charlie was. It was
Mm.
explained to me that Charlie was the first aircraft mechanic for the Wright brothers.
Hmm.
Never heard about him. They never taught about him in school. He never came up
Right.
in conversation. And I thought that was an injustice. Uh,
Right.
Again, I go back to the men and women behind the scenes, military maintainers or Ken out in the line in Kennedy Airport at 36-degree weather. Where did we start from? I want people to know where we started and how we've stayed lockstep with each technological advancement in aviation. That's our responsibility. So that's one of the other hats that I wear. And I'm also on the Northrop Rice Foundation, another nonprofit where we give out grants to students to help pay for their written FAA exams.
Awesome, awesome. That's uh that's a lot of hats you're wearing.
It is. But to answer your question, how do I find time? The best analogy I can give is you want to start a garden in your yard. The
Hmm.
hardest part of starting a garden is going out and tilling the hard soil, getting the rocks out.
Hmm.
Depending on, you want a 10 by 10 yard garden, or do you want a 40 by 40? You just go out there. I've tilled all the soil. I got nice
Yeah.
fresh soil. Now I planted the Northrop Rice Foundation, all the different organizations that I donate my time to. It's kind of like uh, cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots. Each plant and flower might require a different amount of water, more attention to weeding. And so as long as I keep my emails up and my phone calls, staying in touch with Joe and so on, it's like spinning plates. As long as I keep those plates spinning, I'm good.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's I appreciate you getting back to me quickly and wanting to provide this experience to the military veterans because like I said, I wish we had this and I even today I that's a common response I get whether no matter where I go with going in person, online, talking over the phone with people. It's like, man, I wish I knew about this when I was in the military. And it's still happening today. So all right, awesome. Thank you for that intro. And it's now I feel like I'm slacking a little bit just with all the things you got going on. Um,
No, no, no. You're doing a very good justice for our profession, especially for the men and women in uniform. I really got lucky because when I talked to the two guys that were on my inspection team, I had just about 2 years left before I got out, and it took me just
mhm,
about 2 years to go to that community college and take the courses. Now, again, for your listeners, you don't have to go to an A&P school if you're in the military because working on B-52s, I forget the exact term, but the code for what my job was
uh-huh,
aircraft maintenance.
mhm,
As long as I think it's about 32, maybe 36 months, I could have gone and challenged the test from
mhm.
the FAA.
Right.
I wouldn't suggest that because if again, in the military, you're in avionics. Okay, you're going to do really well on all the avionics questions, but when it comes to the sheet metal, rivet
Right.
pitch, things of that nature, you're going to be rusty. I recommend if you're working on jets and helicopters in the military and you're looking at coming into the commercial side, find a local
Mm-hmm.
college or community college, take their classes at your speed. You can go to days or afternoons or nights,
Mm-hmm.
learn what they teach you, then go take your writtens and then your practicals.
Yeah, yeah. The way I did it was going to a nonprofit that helps just exposing aviation to very young kids, like elementary age. And they had a little Cessnas, a lot of Cessnas, and just going over there and the technicians there, they just love what they do. Had a passion for it. They didn't want to go into, being specialized in a certain area. They wanted to, they wanted to do it all. Sheet metal, engines, just doing it all. And yeah, I got some of my skills of doing some sheet metal. And they do things a little different there. There's no
Yeah,
templates. They're
yeah,
making it
yeah,
out of
yeah.
like the sheet. So it was awesome. But yeah, yeah, like that's one of the things I keep preaching. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over, and I do is because we get more people on board, or maybe they just didn't hear me the first time. Hey, you need 30 months of experience to be authorized to take those exams, and you can. take those exams if you want to once you get authorized by the FAA. So yeah, that's going to be there's a few things that you got to know that's on those tests, like you said. If your avionics and your structures or sheet metal, yeah, you got to get spun up on that kind of stuff. So yeah, great advice, great advice. And I also tell people go visit that sheet metal shop across the flight line. Go
Exactly.
talk to them and buck a few rivets. They'll teach you that. At least in my experience, they've always been open to that.
Well, there's no reason not to be open. We really are a brotherhood, sisterhood, unlike almost any other profession, where
Hmm.
we have to rely on each other. Um, if like I was mostly on the inspection department, we would write up the Bombay door, sheet metal loose. Well, that went to sheet metal. A tire was worn. That went to the wheel and brake shop. Um,
Hmm.
Ask questions. Go to structures. How do you flare a hydraulic tube? Hey, piece of
Hmm.
cake. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Ask questions. That's the easiest way to learn. And but I really strongly suggest that those in the military that are looking to separate and come into the commercial side, get your A&P before you separate. It'll make it so much
Yes.
easier. You'll have more time. And like you just said, you can go to a different shop, become more comfortable with the material that they're teaching in the school. And that A&P
Hmm.
that just gives you a key to open one door for an interview
Hmm.
compared to not having your A&P. Now, if you want to go to manufacture and work in Washington for Boeing or go to South Carolina for Airbus, sure, you don't need an
Hmm.
A&P to manufacture jets, but if you want to continue what you're doing in the military in the commercial world, make a little bit more money, uh,
Yeah.
I really suggest getting your A&P before you get out.
Yes. That's I didn't even know about it until 10 months prior
Wow.
my separating. And I was working on the inside of a A10 and a supervisor, he was like, "Hey, you're about to get out, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Go get your A&P." I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "You need this, 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 and that, and go to the education office." I was like, "Okay." I didn't even know. I just, obviously in the military, you just say, "Okay, go, get it done." And then later you ask questions. And that's what I did. It was only the FAA authorization form, but I was like, all right, what is this thing and how does it benefit me, of course? So I started looking into it and then I just went down a rabbit hole, talked to some people about it. And then they're like, hey, you should start a company. I'll help you out. And they helped me out and it was pretty, yeah, that snowballed really quick.
Well,
And
you said 10 months before you got out?
yes.
For your listeners, don't wait like Joe and I did. Well, I had 2 years, and that's only because if I'd have found out prior, I'd have done it. You don't have to wait right before you discharge. You can, if you want to make a career in the military, that's great. God bless you. But get your AP now. Get it out of the way.
Hmm.
Same
Exactly.
thing with people that are just coming on board, getting out of tech school and stuff. Sure, there's a lot of stuff going through their heads, and they're like, "Leave me alone. I got too much going, uh, trying to remember." But once you're
Hmm.
comfortable, enroll in a school and get it done.
Yeah, I totally agree because I've seen so many people stress out in class, because we have the prep school and there you get stressed out because they're trying to juggle studying right now for their exams, the retirement party, family of where they're going to go and live, moving them around. So, uh, yeah, doing it as soon as possible is the best.
Yes.
As soon as I would say, as soon as they hit that 30-month mark, start knocking it out. And yeah, I totally agree. You start already with some of those skills. If you're avionics, start working on engine skills, start working on your sheet metal skills, because then if that's your goal, start setting that up because If they only see that you're only specialized in avionics, they're like, oh, he's going to be a little more to train. And then if somebody's already ready, of course, he'll most likely have priority. It's like, oh, he already knows his stuff. He'll be easier to plug in. So, all right, I got a few questions for you, Ken.
Sure.
All right. So you have tons of experience on the floor, and I'm sure tons of military, veterans have come across your floor. And my question is, what's the biggest gap you've seen between the military maintenance, their experience in training and what, like, say, the civilian side does? Like, what's the biggest gap?
Um, I would say the biggest gap is probably, and I mean this in the right context, is the confidence.
Mm,
You can have someone 12 years in the Navy working on jets or A-10s or cargo airplanes, and then now you're coming and working on a different beast. Again, I go back to the different and the same part about it, but it is a different world, and just getting the confidence of knowing it's like, okay, Airbus is really a different beast from Boeing. The 737 and the 321. Uh, so someone might feel a little kind of apprehensive of like, well, I don't want to screw up, which is normal.
yeah.
It's human nature. But that is quickly over. I see people quickly overcoming that because they're coming into an environment of we all start day one in the Air Force was step one for me. I had to learn, and I was really lucky. Like I said, 17-year-old kid from New York. I was very truthful when I spoke, and I should have maybe have not
Mhm.
spoken at a certain time, but it was understood. I
Mhm.
wasn't malicious or anything. I was just a kid that didn't think before he spoke. Four
Yeah.
years, now I go to American Airlines. And day one at American Airlines, man, I was like, holy moly. It's like I don't know if I can do this. I mean, there's a DC-10 sitting outside and never touched a DC-10. The technicians I worked with were very understanding. So that gap of becoming confident and comfortable is very small. So anybody transitioning into the commercial world, don't worry about it. It's
Mm.
you can do it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Especially, I'm not sure if you had to change airframes. A guy had to change airframes from an F-16 to an A-10. And that transition was actually a lot easier because the F-16 it's compact in there compared to the A-10. There's so much room. So, and it's an older model, older plane, so it was easy to, a lot of it was. I mean, there was a lot I had to learn, but I think about that all the time because I drive by DFW almost every day. I was like, oh my goodness, that's a huge plane, and that'll be a different way to approach maintenance on those things. And but at the same time, exciting. All right, so let's see. Okay, when you're hiring a veteran, and I'm not sure if this will apply, but do you guys, does American hire veterans without their A&P, or they must have their A&P?
No, you need to have, if you're going to work for a commercial airline, you're going to
Yeah.
need your AP. Again, unless you work at an airline's overhaul facility, like say in
Hmm.
Tulsa. But I still would like to stress to those still in the military, get your A&P. Because like I
Hmm.
said, it's a key. You may not need that key for 6 years, but when you need it, you got it.
Right.
You don't have to, like you said, stress and go, oh, crud, I got to go and study all this. Get it done now. And
Hmm.
like, even if you get your power plant certificate, you can go work for GE, Rolls-Royce,
Hmm.
um,
Pratt.
Pratt, all the engine manufacturers. If you don't
Hmm.
have your power plant, they can still hire you, but you've shown them that you went and took that extra step to raise your education,
Hmm.
and you can be compensated for that financially because like why would I as a company pay someone who doesn't have their power plant certificate the same or
Hmm.
more than someone who does? And you can have more responsibility. So um,
Right.
again, it really all depends on where the individual wants to go. But if you're looking at coming in the airlines, get your A&P.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And just to add is if they're we do some of our students really are ambitious and they continue to go their education. And I always say get it first, start with that because a lot of it aligns with maintenance related degrees. And a lot of times A&P knocks out a lot of their classes. So they don't, that means what that means is, you know, a lot of your classes get knocked out, a lot of your courses knocked out. You knock out a lot
Yep.
of your credits. So less time in school and faster you get your degree. So that's what I've seen. Guys who are ambitious to pursue continuing their education.
And speaking of education and degrees, again, for your listeners, I wasn't aware of this when I was in the Air Force, and I found out years later, your A&P certificate actually amounts to, I'm going to take a guess. I can't remember the exact number, but um, to get an associate's degree, let's say you need 42 units
Hmm.
of a college. Your A&P gives you, again, I'm just taking numbers. I can't remember, like say 38. So
Yep.
when I got out to finish my associates, I needed like a math. Uh,
Yeah.
there were like four classes that I had to take to get my associates. And
Hmm.
I I urge people that are going to discharge from the military to do it. If you don't finish your degree while you're in and you want to, there's no rush. Get your A&P, and then when you get established, you go to a local college. I finished it online actually, Eastern New Mexico University.
Okay.
And so if you want to get a degree, turn a wrench in the commercial world, then maybe go into management. Okay, now
Hmm.
you got your degree.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's about right. What I've heard of guys who knock out their associates, 30, 38, 32. I've heard that some guys get their credits from, the from the community college they're going to. So awesome. Um, Next question is, what's the number one reason you've seen qualified veterans fail to land or keep a civilian aviation job?
I don't have a lot of experience with maintainers separating and then coming into the commercial world and not keeping it. Um, I will actually, there were two guys that were in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
One was a master chief, and the other one was a chief. Both 20-ish, 22-ish years in the military, retired, got out. One hit the ground running, gregarious, wasn't afraid of work, wasn't afraid of getting dirty. Now, a master chief, it's like a master sergeant, chief, they're not turning wrenches
Right,
before, they're more the crew chief, the lead. And I don't want to say management, but you get what I'm saying.
right, right.
But this one guy hit the ground running and loved working with him.
Mhm.
Fun loving, you could joke with him. And as you know, we use sarcasm and peer pressure to teach a lesson.
Yeah.
He got it. And this other individual n could not accept the fact that now here he is getting out of the military. So we'll say he's 41, 42. He
Hmm.
spent 20 years, gets right out of high school. He's working with people like me. I'm 23. You know,
Right.
the transmission between my mouth and brain have now, it's engaged. Um,
Yeah.
so now here we are, we're teaching a veteran, a retired veteran, a new format. And he couldn't accept a young guy, quote unquote, telling him.
Mm.
I wasn't telling him as in a command. It was like I would tell Joe directions to get from A to B.
Hmm.
He took it as he was higher than,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
refused to take his tools out because he
Wow.
actually commented to me after asking to borrow some of my tools 3 times in the same evening. Oh, they don't pay me enough to take my tools out every night. I said, well, it's a funny thing. They don't pay me enough to let you use my tools. Uh,
Yeah.
so he didn't really make it too long. So that's probably the best example I can give is when you come out, if your rank out of the military is a master chief, if it's a staff sergeant, it's just a different world. It's
Hmm.
nobody has rank. Everybody gets a turn changing the toilet. Everybody gets a
Hmm.
turn changing the autopilot on the 737 Max. Um, if you can go in with an open mind and just be a sponge and absorb, they'll do great.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess not being humbled to be didn't want to learn, and that's a common thing. I hear that quite a bit is guys that rank structure, you know, uh, yeah, I hear that quite often.
Leave the
And
stripes in the closet.
exactly,
When you
exactly.
come out to the commercial world, we're all the same.
Hmm.
Sure, I've got 40 years. If my ca- my count, if my if Ken with 4 years in the Air Force came to American Airlines in San Diego and is working with a 40-year-old airline veteran, Ken, I'm not going to treat him any different than Joe, who's got 22 years, and we're all on the same shift. We're uh, we lean on each other. Why am
Hmm.
I going to make him feel bad, and vice versa? Don't come in with a chip because uh, again,
Yeah,
different and the same. The commercial world, our sense of humor is the same. You come in with thick skin, you're going to do great.
yeah, exactly. And you get if you're willing to dish it, you better be willing to take it too, no matter
Exactly.
how young the guy is or how much older the guy is. Just be prepared.
I,
And
I joke real fast, Joe. I joke at work. I came up with a rule. I said, you can say anything to anybody as long as one person laughs. Now, see, you're laughing because you get it. Now,
yeah.
when I say that, you're not derogatory. You're never derogatory and
Hmm.
you're never personal. But you have to be able to joke with each other because
Yeah.
you mentioned the word humility. I should be able to go and work on an airplane and get stumped. And just like A-10s and F-16s and Sikorskis and F-35s, nobody knows everything. You can be really
Hmm.
sharp, but you're gonna be stumbled. I should
Yeah.
be able to go into the break room and go, "Hey Joe, do you have a minute?" Sure, what's the problem? I can't get this autopilot work card to pass. Okay, let's go out. First thing you
Hmm.
say is, are all the circuit breakers in? And I go, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I did it twice and I got all the breakers in. And you turn around and go, what about
Yeah.
that one? And
Yeah.
I guarantee everybody listening to this podcast, Joe will have an opportunity sometime either in the near future or the not so near future to make a comment about circuit breakers and how Ken is freshly schooled on what a circuit breaker extended and set reset can do at
Hmm.
my expense. I should be able to laugh at that because Own it. Own your
Right.
mistakes. That is the glue that holds a team together. Because if I was afraid to go in and ask Joe for help, the airplane is put at harm, and so are the passengers and the crew. Will the airplane
Hmm.
fly? Yeah, I'm sure it will. The autopilot A's simply won't work, but that's not what our job is. So
Hmm.
own your mistakes, help each other, and just have a really good sense of humor.
Yes. And it does make it go by so much faster and just fun. It's like it's already stressful troubleshooting an autopilot issue and stuff like that. And being worried about somebody going to be criticizing you in a negative way, like that. Yeah, we can joke, but
Yeah,
not able
anybody
to handle.
anybody that's coming at you negative, that's not a technician.
Yeah,
Knowledge, skill, and integrity. The integrity part of it is treating each other with respect as professionals. Yeah, there's the good-natured vibing going back and forth, but that's really a learning lesson for
yeah,
all. Because somebody who hears you make a crack about me forgetting to put in a circuit breaker, they're going to
yeah,
hear it. Guess what? I'm pretty confident they're going to remember, oh, maybe I double check, maybe triple check that all the circuit breakers are in. That's how we grow as a profession.
yeah. I agree. I agree. That's awesome. Um, Next question is because it was. I don't know. I'm going to skip that one because, well, this one is a little more about how can you change the process about the FAA's for the military maintainers getting their A&P. And some people say that they should just automatically hand it over. It's like just, that's like they're entitled to that. And I kind of don't like that. I do feel that the FAA does need to test them. And even though, like, in my experience, seeing hundreds of military maintainers going through the orals and practicals, they do really well, but I think they still need to be some fundamentals there of because tech school, they could have been 20 years ago, they could have been 4 years ago. I think going over the fundamentals is still just refreshed, I guess, and testing on it. And then because you do learn a little bit about the fundamentals, going through sheet metal, practicing sheet metal, compression checks, all that stuff. Just I think that's the right thing. But what do you think?
I think that if you're going to work on civilian aircraft, civilian helicopters, civilian rockets, I
Hmm.
mean, look at SpaceX and Blue Origin. There are A&Ps working. I know of an A&P. He was a student that competed in the competition and is
Hmm.
working at SpaceX right now.
Yeah.
His A&P got him in there. So for men and women in the military that feel that it's their right, that, well, I already work on airplanes, so why do I have to test? Because there's a certain standard.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe you feel you have what it takes to work in the commercial side, but there's a lot more to learn in an A&P school that you're raising the bar of your knowledge. So
Hmm.
nobody's entitled to a free meal. You gotta
Right.
you gotta earn it. And if someone who feels entitled says, well, all right, I gotta go take this stupid test, and they fail
Yeah.
it, hopefully that's, a moment where the light bulb went on and went, maybe there's a little bit more to this than I thought.
Hmm.
You are, again, I don't like the word entitled, but you can challenge the test. I mean, you don't have to go to an A&P school. I worked with a
Right.
gentleman, wasn't in the military. He just worked for a commercial airline that flew props and got the
Hmm.
experience under his belt. And he challenged the written test and he passed. So,
Yeah.
but he went and got his A&P. So, yeah, get that notion out of your head. Uh,
Yeah. Would it be anything you would change about the process? Not maybe not just for the military maintainers, but just in general, like uh during that process.
um, that's a sticky question.
Yeah.
And I'll use as an example.
Okay.
A&P school, we had to learn about dope and fabric.
Yes.
And for, your listeners who may not know what dope and fabric is, there are still airplanes out there, especially ag uh, aircraft that
Hmm.
have dope and fabric over their wings. And if they
And
get
for ag,
dinged,
you're talking about agriculture, right? Agricultural
agriculture,
planes.
yes,
Yeah.
you got to know how to do that. Like sheet metal, that is an art. I mean, it's a specialized, you really need to do it all the time to get it done well.
Hmm.
I haven't touched dope or fabric since I got out of A&P school. Why? Because I work in a commercial site, but I know about it. I know what a scarf
Hmm.
is. I know what dope is. I know about fabric and stitching. Do I use
Hmm.
it? No, but it's like a doctor. They go and learn the human body, but then they want to go and specialize on, I don't know, brain surgery. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
They learned about the digestive system. Do they use it? No, but they're aware of it. Kind of
Hmm.
the same thing with some of the stuff that we learn in A&P school, but the federal government is smarter than I am, and they deem that that's stuff that we need to learn. And but
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
guess, well, my answer would be, well, we'll just leave it the way it is.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So this is a little bit about the workforce shortage going that people talk about a lot. A lot of agencies are doing their research. There's of Boeing's, has their research. Um, that's a very big concern here, which I think it's a opportunity for several agencies like institutions like myself where we can help out and be a part of that solution, right? And since you're on like boots on the ground and you're running a hangar, what do you think the workforce shortage is playing out over the next 5 years?
I think it's going to be even across the board from manufacture, overhaul, and maintenance out at the airport.
Hmm.
Um, it's a knife fight in the break room for these companies to find skilled workforce.
Hmm.
When I got out of the military, I got lucky because the airlines at that time were looking for 4 years minimum of heavy metal experience. Um, I believe the B-52 is pretty heavy, eight
Yeah.
engines, turbine engine.
Yeah.
So they kind of gave me that, I checked that box.
Right.
Now, a majority of these companies, again, from manufacturer to overhaul to the commercial world, are not necessarily requiring that experience. So maintainers that are getting out actually kind of have a leg up on the students that are coming out that don't have that experience. So working on the A10, okay, maybe you just worked on the power plant. All right.
Hmm.
Um, you've got that much more experience than a student. I would hire that individual if I had to hire one person
Yeah.
over a student coming out with no experience. So,
Hmm.
in a sense, your listeners, if they get their A&P getting out, they're kind of going to go to the top of the um, resume pile.
Right. Yeah. And getting their AMP is how they're gonna fit and solve that problem. Just they
So,
gotta check that box.
wherever they want to go, if you want, again, if they want to go into manufacturing, they're hiring. Everybody's hiring.
Hmm.
Now we've got the Jobies and the Archers. for advanced air mobility, the Ubers of the airlines,
Yeah.
they're going to be hiring A&Ps.
Uh,
So it's a lot different right now. So wherever your listeners would like to go, they've got a really good chance of knocking on that door and actually getting interviewed and getting hired.
yeah, it's like the aviation is getting bigger, you know.
Yes.
It's, all these new innovations, all these type of services that maybe weren't here 20 years ago. Now, like you said, the Ubers, there's a lot of, sharing aircraft now, that type of service, like what was it, Wheels Up or something like that. And, companies having a whole fleet of aircraft as well. So yeah, it's growing. Aviation in itself is growing and not enough technicians to fill it.
Yeah. And then also for your listeners, and I wasn't aware of this when I was in Castle Air Force Base. Um, People drink Pepsi. Do you know Pepsi has their own fleet of aircraft?
Yeah.
McDonald's has their own fleet of aircraft. Nike, a lot of these big companies, Ford,
Hmm.
they have their own jets. It's a niche,
Yeah.
but if that's something that they want to do, it's like, you know what, I really don't want to work on Airbus. I'd like to work on a Citation. Um, it's a smaller segment of aircraft maintenance, but that's also
Hmm.
another option. If someone listening to your podcast lives in Wichita, that is a really good chance for the corporate side to get a job there. So,
Mm.
and there's so many options for maintainers getting out.
Yeah. I've heard of stories of like Walmart having a whole fleet and how,
Walmart, yeah.
some of their higher rank individuals will fly out of Bentonville, Arkansas to, go and survey this store or go get information about this store. And it's a lot quicker. So quicker they're there, the quicker they can come back and provide feedback. So I was like, okay, that's pretty smart, And uh, Netflix is one. I know I met a guy who was a director of maintenance at Netflix. So it was pretty interesting that they were, the Dallas Cowboys. Um, the office I had in Tucson was at Bombardier Service Center. So you'll see, you know, the owners of Home Depot, or at least, the founders of Home Depot there. You'll find that, Jerry Jones's aircraft is there with this big old, blue star. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that, you can get into that. You can get into, work for your favorite team in a different way in aviation. All right. Next question is, what soft skills or culture shifts do veterans need to be coached on when moving from the military flight lines to the civilian side? And I know taking a joke was one, being humble. Anything else to add to that?
Um, I would add if you get hired and you come work for an airline, you're going to be paired up with Ken. You're going to be paired up with a technician that's experienced. You're going to go and you're going to work on an airplane. I'll say, hey, I'm going to do the inspection. Joe, why don't you go take a look at the seat recline, or I go back to the autopilot, or even
Hmm.
the toilet. I know
Okay.
the A-10s, the F-16s. I know the B-52 had a toilet, but it was just a honey
Yeah.
bucket. Regardless of what they're going to be working on, look in the manual. The airlines are going to teach you what you need to do to learn.
Hmm.
A lot of it is really kind of specific to each fleet, but they're not going to teach you how to really go in and start troubleshooting the autopilot. They'll teach you how it works. Now it's up to you to go into the maintenance manual or the troubleshooting manual or the fault isolation manual and go in and look up what the possible faults are. Do
Mm.
that first. make an effort to learn on your own. But then if you're stumped, then you go and ask your coworker, hey, Ken, um, how do I hook up this remote uh, box to do a test in the cockpit? Okay, let's go up and do it. And I'm going to ask, did you look this up first? Yes, I did. Here's the
Mhm.
manual. Okay, learn that. Don't just automatically assume, oh, okay, I've got the experience on work on A10s. That's
Right.
automatically going to translate and give me some street cred to where I can ask any question I want. Yes, you can ask any question you want, but try to look on your own first. Take that initiative.
Mm, yeah. Yes. I get, I've been told that quite often. Try to solve it first and then fill in ask for help to fill in the gaps. Yeah. Okay. That's great advice there. Let's see. You kind of answered this one, about, who would you pick, a veteran or like a new school graduate? We talked about that already. Let's see. What role should employers play in helping veterans get certified? Should companies be investing in the training pipelines, or is it that the individual's responsibility?
Um, I think industry, not so much the airlines, should be
Hmm.
more involved, but it's also kind of um, it's like, let's say you have uh, someone in the military, in the Army, working on helicopters, and they are in, I don't know, Alabama,
Yeah.
but they're not from Alabama. They want to go someplace else, but there's a local commuter airline in Alabama that needs a pipeline of mechanics coming in. So
Yeah.
that company will have kind of a working agreement with the local college that teaches it.
Hmm.
They don't all have like internships. I'm starting to see a change in that. I know Alaska Airline does it to where if you get into their program, they'll help pay part of your tuition and give you a
Okay.
job when you come out. But it's like a contract. It's like when we sign up for 4 years in the Air Force. You
Yeah.
got to sign. So you're making a commitment to stay where that commuter airline is because that
Mm,
company's making an investment.
right.
That's kind of what holds the major airlines back. Um, but yes, I think there should be more input and support from industry, from manufacturing to overhaul to the commercial
Hmm.
side with the local schools and say,
Yeah.
okay, hey, um, you're in Alabama, you're working on Apaches or whatever, and you're getting out. Um, we might have an opening in San Francisco. Are you open to that? And it's something
Yeah.
else your listeners should be aware of is there's a lot of places you can go, but a lot of places, San Diego, it's a high expense cost of
Yes.
living. Um, so if you get on with an airline, they go, hey, we can send you to LA or San Francisco or San Diego, high cost of living, and you get there and you pass probation, which is 6 months, and you go, oh, hey, I'm out of here. I'm transferring to Dallas, where the cost of living is a lot less. The airlines are like, why did we bother kind of helping this guy? It's food for thought. Just
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's the training part for sure. Maybe, yeah, getting them. I think what pretty much every airlines does help out their trainees get familiar with their airframes, and the training, stuff like that. And then, but yeah, the training, investing in the pipeline is super important, I
I think
believe.
if you can have like an internship to where someone is, um, even if they're still in the military,
Yeah.
like The B-52s, we got one bomber a week, and it was Monday through Friday, unless we had an alert, a couple times a year, and it was
Yeah.
12 hours on. We'll use me as an example. All right, so I'm working, I don't know what the time was. We started at, say, 7 or 8 o'clock, 8 hours. You're done, you go back to the dorm. Okay, well, if you're lucky and there's an airline in the area that's got an internship and you're going to A&P school,
Mhm.
that is a really good uh, support from industry uh, to our profession and start opening the tap on that pipeline. Because
Yeah.
I would certainly be more interested in going to A&P school if I know I can go and work at night with an airline for,
Mhm.
say 6 hours. It's not a full hour
Yeah.
because you're an intern. Maybe if it's just
Mhm.
4 hours. I'd like to see the industry do more of that.
Yeah, that would be good. I know the military has a program called Skill Bridge, and I've heard mixed reviews. It's very tough to get into it, very tough to kind of maintain it. The other side of it is, yeah, they get to experience a little bit. I know I was talking to a regional airline, and one of the concerns was liability, and which is
Yeah.
valid, which is very valid. Uh, but I still think the internship, I'm not out, maybe not changing out by themselves that whole, engine or something like that,
Oh
but
no. Oh, but they wouldn't be
working,
signing anything. Yeah, you're not.
yeah, right.
You're assigned a coach, or
You-
you work with this guy, follow him
yeah,
along,
exactly. A
and
shadow.
exactly. And then you also have the airlines, especially the unions, how they
Hmm.
look at it. Now, I
Mm,
know for a
yeah.
fact that the union that Alaska Airlines has um, embraces this because they work together. Because the unions are going to look at an intern of, hey, wait a minute, why are you paying that person when you could hire someone full time? Well, because
Mm.
it's part of the program. It's how the system works. I think the union should embrace
Yeah.
this.
Right.
So that's probably one of that, and then the insurance, is kind of
Totally understandable.
yeah, kind of roadblocks that the airlines need to overcome. But then also, I'd like to suggest to your listeners, network, find people out
Mm.
in the industry. It, feel free to put my contact information links in the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm happy for any of your listeners to reach out to me to answer any questions that they may have that your podcast doesn't answer.
No, yeah, that's great advice because I was just gonna say, the next question was, a person 6 months out separating, and they want to land aviation job is before, boots hit the civilian ground is that I think number one, that's the best one is network. Get familiar with, maybe some director of maintenance of, if you're next to an airline or something like that, reach out to them on LinkedIn and see if they can, take you under the wing or something like that. It just at least to go look, just go, even if you have to stand behind the glass and just look, just see how everything operates.
We are a small industry.
Hmm.
Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody.
Exactly.
Your reputation will precede you a light year before you walk in the door.
Hmm.
So if a maintainer getting ready to separate can reach out and find a contact, um, you're 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 doing yourself a favor because you're getting known, you're getting out there. You can answer questions. And again, there's no such thing, all maybe in the military, there is such thing as a stupid question, but in the real world, the commercial side, no, ask, it's like, hey, I want to work at Boeing. Do I really need my power plant? Well, not really, but where I work, in Washington, it really helps to have your airframe. Okay, guess what? You just networked and found an answer to a question that you weren't
Hmm.
going to find on your own, probably.
Right.
So yeah, the competition that I help put together on every year. We have a category for just the military,
Hmm.
and they're networking with the civilian counterparts. They're seeing,
Yeah.
Ken at American Airlines, and someone from the Navy comes over and goes, "Hey, is American hiring?" "Yeah, we are." "Do you have your airframe
Hmm.
power plant?" "My airframe, what?" Guess what?
Yeah. Exactly.
You just made contact. So yes, reach out and introduce yourself to the world, to the community, and start growing that network.
What would you say the best three events or conferences, or it could be small, um, for some, let's say Joe wants to get into commercial airlines, right? He wants to work on the Max. Somebody like me getting very specific to work on the airlines. What type of events or associations should somebody start networking and being involved?
Um, well, I'm going to be biased with that question. Um,
Okay,
the
please do.
the maintenance competition that I helped put together, it's called the competition, and it's
Hmm.
part of the Aerospace Maintenance Council's. It's kind of our tent pole. And we have two of them. We have one that we hold every April during MRO America's trade show. And then this past month, May, we had our second annual competition that we held at Verticon. Verticon is everything vertical,
Hmm.
helicopters, Archer, if it's got a prop like a helicopter, blades, we hold our competition there. And
Okay.
MRO is basically anything aviation.
Mm.
We hold our competition there. Those are two really good venues to go. It's free to register to go to this trade show and then come over to our competition area and just introduce yourself. Come up, "Hey Ken, I was watching Joe's podcast. You suggested I come over. I'm a Marine, and I'm thinking of getting out, and I only work on helicopters, but I really want to work for Delta. There's no reason you can't.
Right.
Come and introduce yourself. I'll come over. I'll introduce you to the Southwest Airline guys. You want to work on the Max? Great guys. Those are two great ways to get your name and your face out there. LinkedIn is
Hmm.
another great
Yeah.
format. You're not going to post pictures of your lunch. That's Facebook. LinkedIn, if
Yeah.
you want to create a personal or a professional um, notebook of names and contacts, that's a great way to do it.
Oh yeah.
Again, put my name and contact in the bottom. I'm happy to connect with people and answer questions. So, and then as far as organizations go, um, well, most of the organizations are going to be unions. The Aerospace Maintenance Council, we're an organization, but we're not like a membership driven one. Uh,
Okay.
my nonprofit, the Aircraft Maintenance Technicians Association, or AMTA, we're not a membership driven one. That's more for, hey, if you just want to kind of keep in touch and learn about what we do to educate our profession to schools and whatnot, and you want to get involved
Hmm.
in it, it's free to join. You need an email. You don't get spam.
Yeah.
Um, so PAMA is another organization.
Okay. Yeah, those are great places. The Panama I did know, and what was it? Yeah, Panama is the one I knew. I've been to the National Business Aviation one.
Yeah,
That
NBAA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed, NAA. They're pretty good people. At least you know the maintenance guys. They're pretty. They're all like great guys. Awesome. And the last question I have: if if a nonprofit or recruiting organization came to you and said, "We want to build a perfect veteran to aviation pipeline," what would you tell them to focus on first?
Informing everybody who turns a wrench in the military of the path that they need to take.
Hmm.
Like I said, I was totally unaware of what I needed to do to get out of the military and go work for the airlines. Again, I got lucky to talk to two guys that were on my team that were going to the community college. That the next day I drove to that community college and enrolled. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Now, I know the military is not going to come out when you get out of basic training and you go to your first tech school and they go, hey, when you get out of tech school, wherever you're going to go, you should go to an A&P school. No,
Hmm.
because the military are like an airline. They're a company. They want to retain you
Yeah.
for a career. I fully get that. I also fully get it's not a career is not for everybody. It wasn't for me. It and God bless the people that want to spend 22 years in, great. And then transition. Okay, that's their personal path. I went in at 17. It wasn't uh, my cup of tea. I
Yeah.
got out, letting people, the men and women, know what they need to do. That's what needs to be done.
Hmm.
Whether you see an air show, go to an air show and talk to a mechanic there. They'll tell you, well, do you have your A&P? And you go, my A and what? Well, guess what? You just learned
Yeah.
what you needed. Uh,
Air shows is a good place to be going to. I love
it
those
is.
things.
The competition, come to our competitions, get on our mailing, contact me, and I'll tell you when the next one is, where it's going to be, and you can plan on coming out. But yeah, that's what I think the industry really needs to do to help maintainers become aware of what the next step is. What do you want?
Hmm.
This is what you need to do.
Exactly. That's all it takes is, and it's like, get your AMP. Like, what? What is that? And then you just go down a rabbit hole with that. So, because, I used to believe that it was just like contracting work and that's it. I thought that's all I could do. And no, once you go down that rabbit hole, you're gonna find so many opportunities out there from business to just working at a museum, working on those old aircraft. You can go commercial. And Uh, there's even a small sector where they work on celebrity aircraft. Like they have celebrities have their own aircraft, and like Drake, and this company helps service and fixes their aircraft. And when they go on tour, they take technicians. So they're
The-
not. I Go ahead.
and I was sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It just popped in my head when you're talking about, celebrities. Prior to what I do with the competition now, the first organization I did that with was the AMT Society. And one of our
Mhm.
board members was the director of maintenance for Harrah's Entertainment Casinos. And I'm sure
Uh,
people listening are going, what? Wait a minute. Okay, I get Pepsi
yeah.
and Walmart having their own jets, but Harrah's yeah, well, a lot of the casinos are owned, several casinos are owned by the same holding company. They have
Hmm.
their own jets,
Yeah.
and you can make, a really good living working on those private jets. So
Yeah.
I tell people, especially like high school kids when I go to career days, said if you like working with your hands and your mind, fixing airplanes on problems on aircraft, A-10, F-16, 737 MAX, Airbus 321, different and the same. You're going to solve a problem. You're not going to get rich, but
Hmm.
you're going to have a really good life and you're going to like what you do. And you, like you said earlier, you're going to laugh. When you go to work, you're going to work with like-minded people and you're going to grow and it's a wonderful profession. So if it wants you want to go work in Vegas, work on, Gulf Streams and maybe
Yeah,
every now and then get a glimpse of Brad Pitt or somebody, and like, wow, that's pretty cool.
that's true. That is
And
very true. Yeah, I
even
didn't think
the
about that. Yeah.
commercial, they some of
Hmm.
them fly first class too. I
Yeah.
friends that work in LA, they were like, "Hey, I saw Hulk Hogan." Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just a little nuance to the profession, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I forgot about that. I can't imagine like some of the, on the business side or the private side that there's all kinds of people, especially in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
How many
yeah.
people, like just about everybody and their moms goes to Vegas. All right, Ken, thank you very much. I, learned a lot and the insights that you have in the industry and plus the opportunities out there. Um, Try to keep this short, but this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to educate us all on, uh, a little bit what it is on the civilian side, and hope to bring you back on. And guys, check out that aerospace competition. If you're a real technician, you're gonna see how fun it looks to get into that, and you just want to get in there and play. So and compete if you have that competitive nature in you. But yeah, I know in the military we would do things like that just for fun,
Yeah,
and then
oh,
now
of
there's like
course.
and then now there's a whole like I'm not gonna call it a league, but just a whole tournament almost. I think because it is kind of like a tournament, right? There's like events, smaller events, and then there's the big show, a bigger venue.
No, we have two competitions, and
Oh, okay. It's just
the first competition that we started, we would go to MRO. Okay, for your listeners, Aviation Week and Space Technology Magazine, AV Week. They have an
okay.
expo arm, and they put on 5 expos around the world. One of those expos is in the States, and they call it MRO Americas. And every April,
Okay.
they move from a different city. This month, they're in Orlando. Next year, they'll be in Orlando. We have 29 different events that range from safety wiring to component removal and reinstallation to electrical troubleshooting and repair, crimping a wire. We try to cover as many of the ATA codes that we can.
Mm,
Thank
okay.
goodness we don't have a clogged toilet for Chapter 38. Not yet.
Yeah.
Um, but we have 29 events, and the teams consist of 5 people per team. So you put
Mhm.
together a team of 5 people, and all the events are listed on our website. It's not like you just go to Orlando
Oh,
and go,
wow. Okay,
okay,
that's cool.
what do I do? This way you can assemble your team, have that sheet metal person. All right, you're going to do all the structures.
Yeah.
Okay. You have someone that's really good in avionics. You're going to do all the electrical events and so on. The criteria for all 29 events are on our website. So you know
Okay.
what to expect. If there's a piece of test equipment, that company says XYZ. So if you've got XYZ in the hangar that you use on the A10, you can go and take it out and practice with it. Not all 5 people do all 29 events. The events are
Okay.
grouped together, 3 events for every 15 minutes. So
Mm.
most events are one person per event. Some will have 2 competitors do. So every 15 minutes, your team is going to do 5 events. You don't
Mm.
need any tools because everything that's needed is going to be in a shadow board. All you need is a good sense of humor and a desire to, as my friends in Australia say, fly the colors. You want to have an
Yeah.
Air Force team, you come as a United States Air Force 53rd OMS. You want to
Hmm.
come as the U.S. Army Team Apache, which they actually have a Team Apache, Team Chinook.
Yeah.
You come as a team and nobody knows your score. It's not a matter of you might have a higher score than another team, and we use time to determine who gets prizes and awards. And the
Oh,
lower
okay.
score, the better. It doesn't mean team A is better than team B. It just
Of
means that
course.
team B might have had more butterflies in their stomach, or they left their safety glasses on their forehead and forgot to put them down at the safety wiring event
Yeah.
and got a minute penalty. It's a
Mm.
fun competition. You can literally feel the camaraderie. So we have
Yeah.
29 events, 90 five-person teams from around the world at the MRO venue.
Wow.
We have a wait list of 20 odd some teams that didn't register before we hit our 90 cutoff.
Mm.
We felt that was an injustice. We can't have more than 90 teams, so we looked at another Verticon, another venue. Even though it's
Hmm.
a helicopter specific convention, the events are the same that we have at MRO. Do helicopters
Okay.
have wiring? They sure do. Do they
Yeah.
have cables? Yes. Maybe some ATA chapters don't swap over, but all the events that we do at one venue, you can do at the other.
Okay.
So feel free to just go and visit. Like I said, it's free to
Yeah.
register.
Yeah. For sure. It looks fun, and it's fun watching these guys go to work with it. So if you can, if you're in Orlando or you're going to, I think it's March 21st, 23rd, something like that.
It's this month, the
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
21st.
April, April.
Yeah, April 21st, and it's 3 days to the 23rd. And
Yeah.
then next year in Anaheim is when Verticon, they move their trade show from city to city. They're going to be in Anaheim next year,
Mm.
March. Uh, I'm going to guess, say March 9th through the 11th. Just go to
Okay.
type in Verticon, or better yet, just email me. Hey, Ken, I heard you talk about this competition. I'd like to check it out and say hi. Um, those
Yeah.
are really good ways to network and maybe kind of tip your toe into the world of information of, what
Yeah.
you want to do when you get out.
Yeah. And when I went there a couple of years ago, it was everybody was super helpful. You know, open I made some new friends, open to helping me and stuff like this. Complete strangers, and it was pretty awesome. So, and the competition was, I think after it was kind of funny because like, okay, I got to meet everybody I want to do, meet everybody I needed to meet, and then I headed over to the competition like right after. So I spent quite a bit of time meeting some of the people that I would meet online finally in person. It was pretty cool. So again, Ken, I'm gonna wrap this up, and I want to say thank you for your insights, and hopefully, you know, a couple more shows down the road.
All right. Hey, again, thank you for the invitation. I'd like to reiterate anything I can do for our men and women in uniform. If they're looking to get out and work in the commercial side, I'm here to help.
Awesome, and I'll put in the links and all the little um, uh, any kind of post I make with you on it. I'm gonna put your contact info, where to find you on LinkedIn, and he's super helpful. So thank you again, Ken. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions, hit me up here on it could probably be any kind of mostly LinkedIn. That's the best way to contact me. Is that's probably the best one to reach out to me. That's when I actually focus if you wanted to reach out. So if you're on YouTube or code or what's it called, Facebook, but LinkedIn is really where I focus my attention. I spend a lot of time on. So all right, thanks, fellas. Have a good one.